I'm a simple man from the 90s. I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, regular ninjas, Vikings, dinosaurs, boomer shooters, and fantasy. My first dive into fantasy was after discovering the Witcher books by Andrzej Sapkowski sometime around 20 years ago. Most of my friends 20 years ago were into Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, and skateboarding, but I liked The Witcher better because it was based on Slavic myths and legends. Actually, I think it's the Witcher books that got me interested in mythology and other countries' ancient history in the first place. A few days ago, while meditating and working on my therapeutic Dark Souls Remastered Soul Level 1 run, I found myself thinking about how great it would be to have a Souls-like action RPG set in ancient Russia, for example, and based on Slavic mythology. Or, as a matter of fact, any RPG would be great. But we have the Witcher series, you might say, yes, and a few other titles like Black Book or Black Tail, and that's about it. There's also this Kanung series I quite liked as a kid that was promised to be the killer of Diablo, but we all know how that turned out. So after some digging, I found this game on Steam, Slavania, Slavic metroidvania. And yeah, I know it's not necessarily a Souls-like game, but come on, Dark Souls can be considered a metroidvania in 3D, but that's an argument for another video that will be called Genre Wars or something. Anyways, Slavania. The game is set in 12th century ancient Russia, which is a more than enough reason for me, being a Slav myself, to check it out. There's a free demo you can download too right now as we speak. Is it good? I don't know, man, it's weird and sometimes very goofy, but it looks like it might be a very good Souls games inspired Metroidvania with quite a few interesting mechanics. I had a few reasons to make this video. First of all, I'm really passionate about the setting, and the second reason being that nobody seems to be talking about the game because I think nobody knows about it. Also, a quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video or anything, and I wasn't contacted or asked to make this video by the devs. Let's just check it out now, shall we? Right, so in Slavania you play as Alyosha, an ancient Russian hero or bogatyr, which also means hero, by the way. You are immortal and your soul is trapped inside your magic spear, and when you die, the spear brings you back to life. Unlike other Souls-like games, you don't resurrect by the bonfire when you die. On the contrary, you continue on right where you fell. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. It also seems that you don't lose the resource you collect from the fallen enemies upon death. The resource is called souls, by the way. Souls are needed to upgrade your magic spear, so it's better to put them to use as soon as you have a chance by interacting with the idol, Slavania's version of the bonfire. By touching the idol, you can save your progress, skip time, and upgrade your magic spear. What's really cool is that upgrading your spear doesn't just make you hit stronger, it also unlocks some useful abilities like destroying mid-air projectiles. So your spear is both a weapon and a tool you use to move around and perform various acrobatic stunts. For example, it can be thrown to break locks and activate mechanisms or create ledges you can climb on. Throwing the spear and then recalling it back feels quite satisfying, by the way. Not as much as Kratos' axe, but hey. What also is very satisfying is the way the game looks. I mean, you're looking at it right now. The way a game looks is always a subjective matter, and I can't imagine that there are people who absolutely hate this kind of art style, but in my opinion, the way the game looks is actually one of the best things about it so far. All the locations I've seen are indeed heavily inspired by Slavic folklore and are just nicely made. It looks like there's been a lot of love put into the game design-wise. I also found Slavania's group on VK, that's like a Russian equivalent of Facebook, and got some concept art from there. This one clearly indicates that the Dark Souls series was, among other games, a reference. I've met quite a few notable characters from Slavic folklore while playing, like the only boss you fight in the demo, Queen Pike, or 3 jesters, these dickheads. I also found a few magical artifacts like the mirror. I think if you are into or want to get into learning some Slavic folklore, you will find the visual aspects of Slavania quite interesting. What I've seen so far in the demo looks pretty good, and some of the locations shown in the trailer give some idea of what to expect from the game on release. It seems that there will be quite a variety of places to explore, like sunny sunflower fields, dark forests, snowy mountain passes, birch tree forests, wooden castles, windmills, and so on. Also, I can't sleep peacefully at night because they didn't pick up the coins in the fucking trailer. Like, how? That makes me sick. It's really hard to talk about Slavania's combat because the demo is only like an hour long and you find only a handful of weird enemies. For instance, there are these magic bunnies that make weird noises upon death, like the ones sleeping drunk friends make if you poke them with a stick. Huge papa bears wielding birch tree clubs, the snake, and a few other weirdos. I think the combat will be a good strong aspect of the game. The animations, despite being quite goofy and simple, are pretty alright. It's not Hollow Knight or anything, but it works. Fighting the only boss available in the demo, Queen Pike, was a very trippy experience though. During the second phase, the pike swims away for a second and starts spitting its little pike babies at you, and it almost feels like a bloody joke. Well, maybe it is, who knows, but it's a bad one. There was also a bug where the pike sort of flipped upside down and I couldn't hit its weak spot, but reloading the game fixed it. After defeating a boss, it looks like you're being given a choice to spare their life or to deliver a killing blow. I decided to spare Queen Pike because of how broken the poor thing was. Also, the NPC that appears after the fight talks absolute nonsense horseshit I couldn't understand at all. It could be a poor translation, or it could be that the NPC I was talking to was a hippie. Speaking of the NPC chatter, you can see the text on the screen, right? And they're also voiced on top, just like in Hollow Knight. In Slavania, they sound like they speak this ancient Rus language, but I'm no expert and it could be just gibberish, but it sounds really cool. The music is also quite good. Sometimes it's just straight up Russian folk music, and sometimes it's a mix of Russian folk music and some kind of drum and bass. If you're into this kind of shit, let me know. I'll hook you up with some real Russian drum and bass folk, and I'm not even joking. The sound effects, on the other hand, are not always good. It feels like some of them were taken from another game or like Tom and Jerry cartoons. There's a few interesting mechanics in the game that, if done right, could be a very cool addition to what's already good. Like the way healing works, I find it quite fun. You have one Estus flask that can and should be refilled at a talking well. And yeah, a talking well is also a character from Slavic mythology. There's also something like a day and night cycle. Every time you die during the day, for example, the time skips and you continue on during the night. It doesn't just change the creepy looking sun to the creepy looking moon, it also changes some of the enemy's behaviors. Papa bears, for example, go to sleep during the night, and you should too. Slavania is being developed by a 3-piece studio, Frostleaf Games LLC, and it's their first game. I also learned from one of the interviews I watched with the devs that originally they wanted to do a Splatoon clone or something, but then scrapped the idea and started working on Slavania. The game has been in development for 3 years already and getting ready to be released sometime in 2023. It's goofy, it's sometimes comical, not in a good way, but it looks like somebody's passion project and I wish Frostleaf Games luck with it. I will definitely pick it up on release because I want to play the whole thing. The devs are promising 10 to 15 hours of gameplay on the first playthrough. I don't think we should be expecting a breakthrough, metroidvania, another Dead Cells or Hollow Knight, but I'm just glad that somebody attempts to make Slavic mythology inspired games, and I want to put in my 2 cents and support the local scene. Go check out the demo too and add it to your wishlist if you liked the experience. The link is in the description. It usually helps small dev studios big time. And again, I'm not recommending this game because it's awesome. I just want to spread the word a little because there's a big chance that Slavania will just sink into obscurity. Have a good one, see ya.